How's it going, viewers? Super Sam 697 here, and I am about to watch a great movie, at least I hope it will be. I'm watching Doctor Strange, so I'm going to head on in and check out the movie, but make sure to stay tuned for a spoiler and a non-spoiler review. I sincerely hope that this is everything I've been hoping for, but waiting for this movie a long time, so I can't really wait any longer, so I'm going to head in. Alright, so I have a lot to talk about, but before I do, as always, this is the non-spoiler review. So, if you are looking for a review without any specifics on anything from the movie, you're in the right place. If you're looking for a review, it has me kind of dissecting a bunch of different parts from the movie. You can click on the annotation on the screen, and it will bring you to the spoiler review. Otherwise, you can stay here, and the entire movie will be reviewed without anything getting spoiled. Alright, so if you guys are still here, you are in for the non-spoiler review. So, I'll get down to it. Overall, I thought this movie was pretty good. As far as Marvel movies go, they are usually pretty good. And as far as just superhero movies go in general, origin stories can typically be hit or miss. This, however, I felt like it had a lot of the great aspects I like from Marvel movies, and kind of mashed together in this new form that we haven't seen in the MCU, which I really liked. I thought the overall cast was really good. Going into it, I wasn't sure how the cast was going to be, especially kind of Benedict Cumberbatch, because I like him. I've seen a bunch of roles with him, but he's not necessarily the first person I think of when someone says Doctor Strange. But then, as I was watching the movie, I kind of realized, you know what? He makes a good Doctor Strange. So if you had that same thought, which I know a lot of people did, then don't worry. I think you'll be satisfied. He plays a pretty good Doctor Strange. A lot of things actually are either referenced from the comics or are taken entirely. So if you are a big fan of Doctor Strange from the comics, I think you're going to get a good kick out of this movie. There's a lot of moments in there where I'm so happy that they included some aspect of it, just because it just kind of completed the comic book, I guess. And if you see the movie and you know some of these parts, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to spot them. But as far as the plot itself goes, it wasn't anything too out of the ordinary. That's not necessarily anything bad. However, when you really think of a superhero origin story, there's kind of a general plot structure that you imagine that Doctor Strange more or less follows. Takes that, tweaks a little bit here and there, not too much, and then just then just introduces these new aspects into it, or at least new for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I really liked, because this new concept of magic is something that they haven't talked about at all in the MCU, something that until this year they haven't given any signs that it actually existed. And the reason why I say this year was because with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if anyone's been watching this current season, they have been kind of hinting more towards magic. Excuse me. And that kind of is the first actual canon appearance of magic being from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But this is magic that is much more tangible, much more seeable. Seeable. I think it's visual, I should say. But speaking of the visuals, I really need to talk about how beautiful the movie was. And what I mean by that is, if you watched my Civil War, excuse me, I said in there that the cinematography was really good, the effects are really nice, things like that. This kind of takes the effects to a whole new level. It was visually stunning, visually impressive, possibly the best effects that I've seen in a Marvel movie, or just in a superhero movie in general, because everything felt so tangible, so real, yet at the same time, everything looked possible. There's all of these words that are improper grammar that don't even work, but have to be used to describe it because it's just craziness going on the screen. I actually saw this movie in 3D. I know that a lot of people are probably going to jump straight to 2D just because a lot of people have problems with 3D fast, and that's understandable. I've seen some movies where 3D doesn't help much. However, Doctor Strange kind of doesn't follow that. And like some movies that I've seen in 3D, all that they really do with the 3D is it's 2D, and then something happens and it just like kind of sticks out at you, and that's it. That's the value of the 3D. However, there are really like a handful of movies, including Doctor Strange, where I would say the 3D is more constructive to the movie itself, to just the visuals that you're watching. And at least from what I've seen, the only things that really come to mind are movies like Star Wars Episode 7, which I actually saw once in 3D, and some moments in there, they used 3D just to kind of extend the screen out and kind of move some things outward and just expand the canvas and make it a little bit more deep, which looked nice. I mean, it wasn't really worth seeing specifically in 3D just for that, but it looked nice. And really the closest thing to Doctor Strange that I would say that I've seen where this 3D effect is used was in the movie Hugo. It was a movie from a little while ago, a few years back. But, I'm coughing a lot for some reason. But in that movie, they essentially use 3D to create these layers of depth. And things like, it feels like someone is behind the set. It feels like someone is behind this. It feels like you are creeping around this. They use it to create these sets almost. They're really just like layers and upon layers. And for Doctor Strange, they never exited 3D. And, I said how it's just 2D until something sticks out. With Doctor Strange, it was 3D all the time. And you could feel it because everything felt like there was always depth. It felt like Benedict Cumberbatch wasn't just on the screen, he was in front of the screen. That was really nice, really cool, because especially when the effects all of a sudden change to the entire thing as you see it is changing and warping, it looks real. It looks really good. And I would say the 3D definitely helps. So if you can handle watching 3D, and if you can handle some rather intense visuals, I would say it's worth going out and seeing this in 3D. I actually didn't get to see an IMAX 3D, but honestly, I can imagine why that would even be better than what I saw. So, I would say if you have no problems with that, go for it. Even if you can get it in IMAX, that'd probably be the best viewing experience possible. That being said, though, if you can't really handle 3D, if you don't think you can handle a whole bunch of intense visuals sticking out in your face, then just go watch 2D. I'm sure you can get the same amount of enjoyment out of it. But anyway, though, as far as just the overall movie, how it fits in with the MCU, really the only complaint about how it fits in is that the fact that they're kind of throwing in magic now, and I was really wondering if this has just kind of existed, then where has any of signs of it before? However, as a movie that introduces this concept of magic, they do a pretty good job. Especially because they kind of came up with this method from scratch as to how this magic would work. And so even fans of the comics are coming into this not really knowing what it's going to be like. But I have to say, it was really cool. It's probably my favorite depiction of magic, and this is coming from a person who grew up pretty much reading like Harry Potter books and things like that. And yeah, I always loved how magic worked in that with your wand and stuff. But honestly, in comparison, that kind of magic feels like child's play in comparison to this. That feels like it's very sporadic. There's no patterns to it. It's really just all whatever based on the wand, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, I think Harry Potter magic is still cool in its own way. However, in comparison to what you see in Doctor Strange, where they are quite literally manipulating cosmic forces, they are changing the balance of nature, they're doing all these things that are so much more complex, so much more visually appealing than just waving a stick around, that I think it might be my favorite depiction of magic. I really, really like it, especially because they describe it as magic that works alongside these cosmic forces. I'm not going to really explain how, because it's kind of getting a little bit into spoiler territory, but it's essentially magic that's backed up by the cosmic science that they've kind of been introducing in other Marvel movies. And I really like that because it kind of creates that cohesive feeling. And just as far as the end credits go, there were 2 end credit scenes, so make sure you stick around for both of them. One of them was kind of in the middle of the credits, like, cause, you know how Marvel movies, they typically do this cool visual looking thing where they show the actors' names and things like that, and then they show just like the regular scroll. Right after those visual things like that, there's an end credit scene, and right after the scroll is another one. So make sure you stick around for both of them. One of them is hinting towards a movie to be released next year. Not going to say which one. Another one looks like it's hinting more towards more Doctor Strange, which excites me because after seeing this movie, I want to see more. And typically, Marvel movies, they will do sequels, so most likely we'll be seeing a Doctor Strange sequel at some point. I can't wait for that. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be a few years. But whatever, I can wait till 2020 or 2021, whenever a Doctor Strange sequel would come out, because this movie really left a lot for me to take in and want more from. It was just very entertaining overall. And actually, another one we know that Doctor Strange will be in Avengers Infinity War. They kind of already confirmed that from some reports from a little while ago, but also some things in this movie definitely supports that. And we also know that Wong, also from a report fairly recent, will be returning in Infinity War, which I'm also happy about because Wong I thought was actually really good in this movie. If you're a Wong fan, you're probably going to be a little bit surprised at some moments, but then also pretty pleased in others, just because he's a nice, rounded character, and so you're probably going to get enjoyment out of it some way or another. But anyway, overall movie, as far as score goes, I give it a 2 thumbs up. If you're a Marvel fan anyway, you have to see this movie. If you really want to know why, you can check out the spoiler version after you see the movie. I can explain it. If you're a Doctor Strange fan anyway from the comics, you have to see this movie. If you just really love magic overall, I would say you have to see this movie. And you follow any one of those categories, this is kind of a must-see movie of the year. It was really good, and it's worth a shot to watch. But anyway, just one last final note about the movie. It is a little bit darker and a little bit, not necessarily darker, but it's a little bit more than other movies, like especially with like in comparison to say Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that, or Avengers, where it's like the only deaths that you see are someone blasting someone else. This, it gets a little bit more intense, so any parents out there or anything might want to take that a little bit more consideration, but otherwise it's not too bad. It's Marvel movies, they keep it fairly light, so it's still a whole lot of fun to watch. Overall, very enjoyable, and it's just a great movie. Alright, well, thank you for watching my review of Doctor Strange. If you like this review, check out some of my other ones from past Marvel movies. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like. If you like me, feel free to subscribe. That's about it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.